Turns out, it's a fun fact here, it turns out being the last speaker at a TED event, very relaxing. Who knew? My name is Victor Lucas, and yes, I am a TV producer, and I'm a host, and I'm an entertainment critic. I'm also a big fan and a huge collector of action figures and comic books and video games. And as I was milling about the crowd earlier today, I think I noticed some of you from some of the Nerds Anonymous meetings that I've been going to. How are your steps going? So I was asked to speak here at TED today, and this is an enormous honor for me. I'm really, really grateful for this, and honestly, the talks today have been phenomenal. And what I want to talk to you about today is the 3D rules, because obviously 3D is a very big buzz in the geeky world that I work in. And I'm going to get to that in just a bit, but first, I want to tell you how I came up with these rules. I actually own the production company that gets to produce the Electric Playground and Reviews on the Run, and I'm very fortunate that I get to work on these shows. My day job is actually to be a big kid and to talk about all of the very cool things that I've loved since I was a little kid. It's pretty sweet. Tapping into that childlike optimism has always been very easy for me. I totally understand what it's like to have excitement for new projects and adventures and challenges, and of course, new collectibles. I have been with my beautiful, smart, and very supportive wife, Marcy, for more than 20 years, and she actually helps me run the company, so we have all kinds of incredible adventures together. In fact, I live a charmed life, and I'm very aware of that, and I know that I could easily say that all of the things that I get to do in my life have kept me feeling like a very lucky kid. So imagine my surprise 4 months ago when Marcy and I found out, a couple of months after our 20-year anniversary, that we were, in fact, going to have a kid of our own, our very first baby. And yeah, feel free to give Marcy a standing ovation, because she's doing all the work, man. I'm really not doing too much. But, you know, we were kind of starting to feel like it wasn't in the cards for us to have a baby. And I think because we do feel very fortunate, we were starting to feel okay about that. But don't get me wrong, this is the greatest surprise and the most wonderful gift I've ever received in my life. I'm completely ecstatic that I'm going to be a father, and I'm more than a little terrified. I've been having the weirdest, most vivid dreams every night. There's lots of, like, holding the baby, and then I'm dropping her like an idiot. The other night, I woke myself up because I was screaming at the devil. I don't know why I was there. It was really weird. But then lots of dreams of the little baby face and the perfect little baby smile. I can't wait to smell her head. The moment we found out, my life has totally changed, of course. It was take stock, get rid of everything that we don't want or need. We started cleaning out the garage. I started thinking about getting rid of some action figures and a comic collection that dates back to the 1950s. I have since reconsidered that. I am very sorry, babe. But of course, I've also been thinking about what kind of father am I going to become? You know, what kind of wisdom am I going to be able to pass on to my little one? See, I didn't have a father. I was raised by my hippie mom, and she had a group of fantastic, mostly female friends. I've never met my dad. I've spoken to him a couple times on the telephone, and we've exchanged a few emails. I can't forgive him for leaving my mom to raise the 2 sons that he fathered, my brother and I, on her own without ever helping her out with child support. And I know that that's probably a common story for a lot of couples from that generation, and I also know that there are a lot of fantastic people that have come from great single-parent homes out there. Anyway, my mom is my hero, especially now, especially knowing that I'm going to be a parent too. And my dad? Well, my dad is still a dick. That's right. And that's something that I never want to be. Not as a father, not as a colleague, not as a customer, not as a business person, hell, not as a person. No one should ever be a dick. And then it hit me, what I was going to pass on to my unborn child and what I was going to share with you all today here at TED. Dick. Specifically, not being one. So if it's okay with all of you, I wrote my little child a letter, and I'd like to share it with you. I do want to preface this, though, that I started writing this before we found out that my baby is going to be a girl, but I think the message still applies. All right? Dear little Smurf, hello, it's your father. Man, it's still weird to say that. And I've got some advice for you. This won't be the last time you hear that, by the way. I'm an optimist, so I'm going to say that people get about 90 years of life. And those 9 decades can be split up into groups of 3. In your life's first 3 decades, you're really trying to discover who you're going to be. In your second 3 decades, age 30 to 60, you're really establishing who you are. But that won't happen unless you've made some decisions about who you're going to be in those first 3 decades. In your last 3 decades, your life is really about enjoying the person that you have become. Now, obviously, every decade is important, every minute is, and we never stop changing and we never stop growing. But when you look at that timeline in front of you, it's really clear that it isn't very long. And in the context of those 9 decades, the time to make your mark in this world really isn't very long. So without really knowing it, I have followed 3 simple rules for most of my life. And because I have, I've been able to achieve some of my goals, remain optimistic, and have some impossible dreams become reality. I'd like to share those rules with you. I call them the 3D rules, and they have nothing to do with 3D. Rule number 1, don't be a dick. This is actually something that I picked up from Wesley Crusher from Star Trek: The Next Generation. I really am a nerd. But it's actually the actor, Will Wheaton. He subscribes to this philosophy too, and I've worked with Will. He's a terrific guy. He is definitely not a dick. He's a very personable, likable, charming, and gracious gentleman. He also currently has about 2 million people that read his tweets every day. He has an impressive resume as an actor, but most of the work that made him famous was years ago. So why is he so popular today? Well, he's an accomplished writer, an entrepreneur, a certified geek, a gamer, a husband, a father, an actor, and a hell of a great tweeter. People love him. Why? It's simple. He's not a dick. Now, in the future, you're probably going to know all kinds of dicks. You might even work with them or have them in your family. You might have dick teachers, dick waiters. Maybe you'll ask for an autograph from someone that's a dick. The worst thing will be having a boss that's a dick. What do you think you'll remember the most about that person, regardless of their contributions or their successes or their good looks or their nice cars or their fancy watches? Yeah, that's right. You'll remember that they were a dick. So do your best not to be one. Don't condescend. Always listen to people. Ease up on the sarcasm. Put yourself in the other person's shoes. Always remember that no matter how smart you think you are, you've only got one view of this infinite universe around you. People will remember your kindness and your patience, not your snappy comebacks. Rule number 2 is don't dick around. There's a theme. As we established, you have 90 fleeting years to get your act together and live a happy life. I think it's fair to say that your first 30 years will be filled with lots of amazing experiences and dangerous pursuits, and I'm absolutely fine with that. I want you to spend your time touching this world, going a little crazy, and seeing its diversity as well as our world's repeating patterns. One of those patterns that I want you to see is people spending their time dicking around and then realizing maybe a little too late that they're just not happy. It takes work to be happy. It takes planning. I've discovered that having goals is actually more important than your achievements when it comes to happiness. Without goals, life is just about dicking around. And that's cool. That's important. A little dicking around is great. The thing to be aware of is that dicking around shouldn't be confused with the goal. The idea shouldn't be to get everything else done so that you can go and dick around. That makes it feel like dicking around is the ultimate reward. And that's a really dangerous trap. It really does all come back to time. There's a lot to do, to enjoy, to share, to understand, to experience in this world. And there's just not enough time to get it all done. You'll say that a lot more when you get older, so don't dick around when you're younger. Probably the most important rule is number 3, and it is don't hang out with dicks. And it's amazing how all 3 of these rules are interconnected. If you aren't a dick, you'll attract good people who won't dick around. If you hang out with dicks, they'll want to dick around and people will think that you're a dick. Let me say that again, because it's a bit confusing. If you aren't a dick, you'll attract good people who won't dick around. If you hang out with dicks, they'll want to dick around and other people will think that you are a dick. By the way, that's all that dicks want to do. They want to be dicks, they want to dick around, and they want to hang out with other dicks that they know. Now, if you unknowingly start hanging out with dicks because you're a trusting person and you want to think the best of people, hopefully you'll start to recognize that these people are not very cool. Otherwise, what will happen is that these dicks will drag you down. They'll stop you from creating and striving for your goals. They'll include you in destructive activities. They'll push you into conflict with people. And they'll waste a lot of your very precious time. Only 90 years. And guess what? You'll forget rule 1, and you'll be a dick. You'll forget rule 2 and dick around. You'll forget rule 3, and you'll be known as the dick that hangs out with the other dicks. Now, if you forget these rules, this will be a continuous cycle for years, and it'll be hard to get off of that awful merry-go-round. Please refer to your timeline diagram once again. I'm going to draw our little diagram that has all the decades. We've got our whole life planned. No, I don't. I don't, Marcy. You'll notice that an awful merry-go-round of years of dickishness could be a really destructive cyclone anywhere on that fragile timeline. It doesn't work in your elementary school years because that's your time to make some great friends that may stay with you your whole life. Who knows? In high school, you might start dating and having romantic relationships, which I know sounds gross right now, but it could be fun later on, maybe. But then in your 20s, you might be in university and have a great job and some cool workmates, or you might just like hanging out with all of these cool people. In your 30s, you might have a family of your own, and life could just keep getting cooler and more interesting and more satisfying from there. You see what I mean? So if you follow these simple 3D rules, I'm positive that everything you'd want out of your life will be achievable. And the road to those things that you want will be so very enjoyable. There is also a 4th D, which I may as well tell you about now because I have your undivided attention in the belly. And it's the D that will give you the strength to follow the 3D rules. The 4th D rule is to dream. It's a cliche, I know, but I'm living proof, and frankly so are you, that human beings can't realize their dreams unless they first dare to have them. Listen to me when I say this. Anything is possible. Anything. Dream as big as your mind will let you, and then learn from that. And then the next day, dream bigger. I want you to know, perfect little being starting from scratch, that I don't care what you become. I don't care what job you have, who you marry or don't, what religion you have faith in or not. As long as you're happy, you're healthy, and you're here with Mom and me. And of course, that you're not being a dick. Yours forever and always, your dad.